Whenever I go off on the Cowboys and I look at the text or my Twitters, people ask me, why are you so convinced that this is going to be bad? Why every year at this time? Well, I used to be much more optimistic. We did a bit called Cowboys Gavin, where I'd get on my steed and I'd ride around town shooting my 6-shooters in the air, talking about this is the year. I'm feeling it in my bones. I haven't had that feeling for years now. And the reason is it's going to be revealed right here in these couple of tweets. First one from Greg Rosenthal. Says, wonder if the Cowboys will pay part of Jalen Smith's salary in a trade that is more like a release. He's due 7.2 and maybe the fourth in line at linebacker.
Are you trying to say he bought that number 9 for no reason?
Maybe. He adds, no team makes more self-scouting errors than the Cowboys.
Shots fired.
Rosenthal says, this goes back decades. Not just giving Smith the contract, but then guaranteeing his money in March. It was 2 years ago. Blogging the Boys moments later pulled a Bill Barnwell tweet from 2 years ago on Jalen Smith's contract when it was signed. At the time, this was 2019, Bill tweeted, the Cowboys could have had Smith for one more year at $1.3 million and a restricted free agent tag at around $4.8 million in 2020. Instead, they'll pay about $19 million guaranteed over the next 2 years to have the option of paying $50.8 to Smith over 4 years between 2021 and 2025. So that's the reason to me. Like, it doesn't take you being a Cowboys fan, a DFW, North Texas Cowboys media member. These are national outlets. And they're going, holy cow, no other teams do this kind of stuff. The Cowboys are the worst at this. How could the Cowboys possibly think this is a good idea in 2019? And Brian and other sources have told us exceptionally well that Jerry doesn't rule with an iron fist. He listens a lot. It is decision-making by committee, but there is enough decisions that somebody in the organization is insisting upon going in the business direction or the loyalty and relationship direction instead of winning at all costs. And that, to me, is the reason I am now no longer capable of getting on that steed and riding as Cowboys Gavin, because it's national outlets dunking on your team. They're paying attention to all 31. And noticing, oh, boy, look at what the Cowboys are doing. And to me, I can't ignore that anymore, no matter how many good players they stack up. If they would come back and have miracle drafts and have this roster that we see, oh, my goodness, this defense is bananas and the offense is healthy, then I would go into 2022 riding. But that is so far-fetched. Like, you got to be perfect with your decision-making, be incredibly risk-averse. So while you're piling on Jalen Smith on Twitter, thank you for finally realizing he's not good enough to play football, but it's the Joneses. This is an organizational story, not Jalen Smith's bad.
No, I think everything you said is absolutely right. I've spent 14 years in that organization, and there's been times where we've thought we were doing the right things. We really weren't doing the right things, and there's things that need to be done that aren't handled the right way. And so, I say this about Jalen. I don't blame him. I blame that Jerry and Steven, they paid him. They paid him, and Jalen saw an opportunity to go in there and make a deal. Give him credit for that. But, they also probably didn't feel like that they were going to get a chance to draft Randall Parsons, and all of a sudden now. Mm-hmm. But I will say this, and I said it earlier, I do believe Jalen Smith sees the writing on the wall, that he is not, as hard as it's going to be for him to not be the guy. He knows how good Micah Parsons can be. He knows how good Leighton Vander Esch could be. He sees that. He sees what Keanu Neal's doing at will linebacker in the nickel. And he sees himself having to clutch and grab to cover and to not have his foot always fire when it needs to fire. He's compromised. He's doing the best he can under the situations of the physical limitations that he has.
So you think he's positioning himself as a Sean Lee type now,
I think
a mentor?
I think he's
a mentor?
I think he's positioned himself as a guy that whatever Dave Hellman said 60% of the plays instead of 98, I would say that's more like 35% of the plays. Mm-hmm. I don't see, and again, it's terrible because he's going to be making a lot of money on your cap playing 30% of the plays. That's not his fault.
Yeah.
That's the front office's fault for paying him that money.
630, they did it to try to influence Zeke to sign for cheaper.
That's exactly what they did.
And they did not know while they were doing that how limited of a player they were doing it with. That is because the most important decision maker in the organization isn't the hardest worker and isn't the smartest football person. And both those things are big-time problems. I think the unfortunate thing is, and Brian, you talked about the 14 years you spent with the team, they do a lot of stuff great.
Yeah.
They do a lot of stuff top end, which allows them to be close to competing and contending. But it's a collection of decisions alongside those.
Yeah, and Jerry doesn't always get the best advice, and I include myself in that. I'm not just slamming Will McClay and the guys over there, because there's times where Jerry's asked me opinions about guys that I thought, did I give him the best advice? I felt like I did at the time, but sometimes it didn't work out.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. And so, he's got to figure out, if someone told him, hey, we need to extend Jalen Smith, that was a bad idea. And next time Jerry says, well, you know what, the next time you tell me something like that, I'm not going to listen to you.